So, Spider-Man No Way Home is set to steamroll Matrix Resurrections. And I've done a video on this before. But this is before I actually watched The Matrix Resurrections. And I'm here to tell you, it is an awful, awful movie. Probably one of the worst movies I think I've ever watched. I will give it a generous 3 out of 10. And the reason I give it a 3 out of 10 is because of Keanu Reeves, who I like, and one or two cool ideas in the movie, which isn't really a spoiler. I am going to get into spoilers, but I'll let you know when. This really isn't a big deal, but there's a moment called the Swarm, where instead of just agents, the Matrix turns everybody into like a mindless zombie that's directed towards a target. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Other than that, this movie falls flat. So Spider-Man No Way Home set to make $100 million, and I think that that's a small estimate for this weekend. It's going to steamroll right over Matrix Resurrections, which is estimated to bring in a total of, according to the analysts here, $32 million to $55 million. It deserves that. It's a horrible movie. It's awful. It's an awful, god-awful movie. I don't know how to explain this to you, how bad it is. Because the movie is boring. It's really boring. I don't know how it's possible to make a movie that bad, because the sequels, the original sequels, aren't even as bad as this movie. At least it seems like they were trying to tell a story. This movie doesn't know what it wants to do. At least in my opinion. It wants to introduce new characters, but it's too busy telling the old character's story. Like everyone, I remember when the trailer came out, everyone's talking about the character with the blue hair. I wish I could tell you anything about her, because we don't learn anything about the new characters. This movie doesn't know what it wants to do. Surprisingly, I'm on the same fence as critics. It's 69% average for its score on Rotten Tomatoes. It should be lower. It's such a bad flick. And I really wanted to like it. Because I actually think the sequels to The Matrix aren't as bad as some people say. They're not great. But Matrix Reloaded, I think, is a good movie. There's a lot to like in that movie, particularly that long freeway chase I thought was really cool. The third one, not so much. I have some problems with that one, but the second one I liked. The third one, yeah, not so much. The audience score, I'm surprised to see so high. I wonder how high that will get, but I got to tell you, this movie was really bad. It deserves to die. It deserves it. It should have never been made. And I wonder, to be honest, if they made it awful for a reason. Because the movie kind of pokes fun at the fact that it's a sequel. So I'll go ahead and I'll get into some spoilers here. You've been warned if you actually care. And I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't care because the movie sucks. The movie's awful. So you shouldn't care too much. My biggest problem with the movie is that it's just boring. It's a really boring movie. It doesn't really know what it wants to do. There's scenes where, there's scenes that make no sense. And I know it's a movie, but there's a scene where they all walk into this room with the cops, and there's Neil Patrick Harris, and it turns into a tremendous firefight, and everyone's unloading automatic weapons, but yet nobody gets shot. I think one person got shot in the shoulder. It's tough to tell you anything about that person that got shot because they never get developed. Like, the new characters are all background pieces. This movie feels like it has an hour cut out of it, where the story is actually developed. And the biggest question that I'm sure a lot of people have is the movie woke? So for that to be answered, I have to get into spoiler territory for those that care. For those that care. Spoilers. I really didn't think it was that woke. Not enough to where I would be bothered if the movie was fucking decent. It's just a shitty movie. Uh, the problem with the movie is a lot of it doesn't make much sense, like the new Morpheus. So apparently he wrote this program in a Matrix game that he creates. He creates a Matrix video game in the 60-something years that he's imprisoned or whatever it is. I actually think he did a really good job as, I guess I should call him Discount Morpheus, because he's not the real Morpheus. He's like an Agent Smith Morpheus combination. He actually did the best he could with the material. I thought he was, he was good in his role, but they didn't do that much with him. This Jonathan Groff guy was pretty good in it. Neil Patrick Harris was okay in it. I mean, people that had roles in it for what they could do did a good job, but you don't really get to learn that much about all these new characters because the story is too busy trying to get these two back together. And it does a hell of a job making you bored out of your mind while it tries to reunite them. Now, the big spoiler is the fact that it turns out that the anomaly, which is what the one really is, was so powerful in him because anytime he did anything great is because Trinity was there with him. And it turns out they're both anomalies. And when they're together, that's when they're most powerful. Now, given the themes of the original trilogy was the love story surrounding these two, I got to tell you, I really wasn't that bothered by that. I was never bothered by the idea of them sharing power. I thought, okay, well, it works because, well, Neo and Trinity are so in love. That was never the spoiler, because I knew about that when the leaks happened. That wasn't anything that bothered me, to be honest. And it's going to bother some people, and some people are going to say he plays second fiddle to her. There is a scene where she gets to fly and she saves him, but at the end they're both flying, which says that he got all of his powers back too. If the movie had been good, I still wouldn't have cared. In fact, I would have said it. I was always fine with that move. My problem is the movie's just awful, and it deserves to get steamrolled. It never should have been made. This was nothing more than a soulless cash grab by Warner. And sometimes I wonder if the director decided to do that to just kind of stick it to him and deliver a bad movie just because she didn't want to do it. So I don't know. It's a shitty movie. It deserves to flop. It's nostalgia done poorly in the face of Spider-Man No Home, which does nostalgia brilliantly. So that's kind of my little review. I just finished watching it, so I'm still honestly kind of processing it, and it was just bad. If you want my score, 3 out of 10, and that's only because of Keanu and a couple of cool ideas. Other than that, the movie was shit, and it deserves to get steamrolled. I hope Spider-Man makes all the money, and that's it. Let me know what you guys thought about it, if you watched it, if you're going to see it. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out. Also, make sure to follow me over on Twitch. I do watch parties, play video games over there. They're always fun. Follow me over there and come hang out. Also, make sure you subscribe to YellowFlash, my other channel. There's a link to that in the description as well. I do a lot of live streams over there that I don't do on this channel. Usually smaller and a little bit more personal. So make sure you follow me over there and sign up.